Film Noir by Terra Knudson, brought to you by the Long Beach Playhouse for Long Beach Gives.
Los Angeles. It ain't no city of angels. It's a city of lost souls. Millions of them. A million of them all pushed up against each other like a swirl of moths clamoring for a single lonely flame. It's a dirty city of broken dreams and squandered promises. And nowhere can you find more desperation than in Los Angeles at Christmas, where there's a ration on spirits and a shortage of goodwill towards men and women. In this lonely burg of lonely souls is a sordid tale of greed and glitterati that got its sorry start one stormy night, about a week before Christmas.
Los Angeles, December 1949. Phone rings as keys are heard jangling in the lock of the smoked glass door.
Hold your horses, I'm coming. Darn key. For Pete's sakes, I hear you, I'm coming.
Mabel Welling enters and races to the wailing phone. A mature woman of indiscriminate age and undeniable good looks and charm, Mabel is a much relied upon secretary of the agency. She's carried a torch for her boss so long her fingers are singed.
Mancuso's detective agency for all your searching, sleuthing, and snooping needs. What can I do you for? Uh-huh. Oh, yes, I have it right here.
She rifles through paperwork, but it's all for show. She's not really looking for anything.
Hold on, I know I got it. This is, no, it's not. I swear I had it. Send another notice? Oh, gosh, that would be swell if you could. And I promise this time we'll get it off to you in a jiffy. You're a peach. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Darn Los Angeles Gas Company, who needs you? We'll just rub our hands together.
Just then, Rick Mancuso enters. He's a man in his midlife with rugged good looks and Bogart-esque charm. If Hollywood needed another Edward G. Robinson, they couldn't do better than Rick Mancuso.
Great timing, boss. You just missed your girlfriend.
What'd you tell her?
Check's in the mail.
Good.
One of these days, I'm going to tell him the truth that you have no intention of paying.
Utilities are Uncle Sam's way of making money off our backs. Shouldn't have to give my blood, sweat, and tears to keep the heat on in my home.
This is not your home, it's your office, and it's freezing.
It's brisk.
It's 40 degrees.
The cold makes you more productive.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you over my chattering teeth. It is warmer out there than it is in here, you know.
Open the door. Now come over here and take a look at this.
He opens a newspaper.
Yeah, you see that?
City Hall Christmas party. Sure. Nice photo of Clark Gable and the mayor. Looks like a real gas. Nice and warm.
Not that. Look at this.
He points to a different article.
Oh. Holy cow. Oh, that's awful.
Never thought I'd live to see the day.
Philadelphia Eagles beat the Los Angeles Rams 14-0. Oof. Well, that's a real kick in the gut. No way around it. Sorry, boss. Do you need time to grieve? You can I can step outside if you need a minute.
Well, crack wise if you want, but I had dough on that game.
Served you right for gambling on Christmas.
Yeah, well, that bread was going to be your bonus.
Now I need some time to grieve.
He flips through the other papers.
You think the score will be different in those?
I'm looking for something else. Here it is. Police chief credits unnamed source for latest Cohen arrest. It's the Mickey Cohen tip that I gave them about the dog walker using a baggie to hide the goods.
Oh, hey, you're the unnamed source.
I'm the unnamed source.
Oh, congrats, boss. If we could only charge the PD for doing their job, we might be able to strike some red from our books.
Well, it'll come back in favors down the road, trust me. In this job, good graces are worth a lot more than a few peanuts tossed our way.
Tell that to a hungry elephant. All right, I'm going to go chatter in my office. If you don't see me in an hour, it's because I froze to my chair.
See you in the spring thaw. You gonna get that?
Are you kidding me?
Mancuso's detective agency for all your searching, sleuthing. Oh, hiya, Chief. Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah, real nice article. A good photo of you and Cohen in cuffs. Yeah, that had to feel good, huh? Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to help. I was just showing the article to Mabel.
Send him our bill.
She also extends her congratulations. I hope you got enough to hold him this time. What's that? Yeah, I'll tell her.
While Mancuso speaks, a shadowy figure appears outside and silently slips an envelope under the front door and disappears unnoticed.
It's a real good recipe. I think it's her grandmother's or her mother's. Yeah, it might be her neighbor's. Yes, I listen to her. Well, she says a lot of things. I don't get paid to listen to her yapping her crap all day. I only got time for that for important people like yourself. Yeah, of course. Well, have a Merry Christmas too, Chief. Where are you going?
Home to grab my gabardine.
You're already wearing a coat.
Wow, it feels good out here.
She grabs the envelope left by the stranger.
Oh, this was shoved under the door. You steamed the mailman again? See you in an hour.
An hour? How long does it take to grab another coat?
Long enough for lunch at Woolworths. Oh, looks like it's gonna rain.
It never rains in L.A. except in the pictures.
Yeah, from your lips.
Mancuso grabs a letter opener and opens the envelope. He reaches in, much to his surprise, pulls out a wad of cash. He reaches in again and pulls out a small scrap of paper.
148 Lincoln Street, Culver City, 7 p.m.
He looks at the cash and shoves it in the top drawer of his desk. Then he grabs his coat and his camera. Finally, after a brief hesitation, he reaches into the top drawer and pulls out a small revolver. He exits as the lights fade to black, and the telephone once again starts to ring. It continues to ring throughout the blackout. Somewhere in Los Angeles, Mancuso appears behind the wheel of a car.
They say it never rains in Los Angeles. Something about being a desert. Truth is, it only rains when there's something God doesn't want anyone to see. So there should always be a monsoon, because God knows there's always something to hide.
KFI 640, and this is the News Hour, brought to you by Bullock's Woolshire. Well, it's a chilly night in Los Angeles, folks, and with only 8 more shopping days until Santa makes his journey from the North Pole, Bullock's Woolshire has everything you need to make your Christmas merry and bright. From toys for the kids to the latest Buttericks patents for Mom. Or how about a new Remington shaver for Dad? Bullock's Woolshire has something for everyone on your list. And now, news coming to you direct from Hollywood. Tonight, Cecil B. DeMille has premiered his new feature, Samson and Delilah. Hedy Lamarr, Angela Lansbury, and Victor Mature lead an all-star cast in a classic tale of love, jealousy, and revenge, all centered around not one, but 2 beautiful bombshells and the man destined to face them both. Coming to theaters in...
Decided to take my chances and my hunches over to Culver City to see what my mysterious benefactor had in store. But Mother Nature had her own plans, and it wasn't long before a flood from above cast a pall on my plans. But in the city, it's only a matter of time before the rains end and the sun shines on the guilty.
Sometime later, Mancuso enters a dark, wet street eating sunflower seeds. He takes out his pad and pencil and jots down a few notes before taking his camera and snapping a few shots. He glances at his watch before reaching into his pocket for a few more seeds as the lights fade to black. The offices of Mancuso Detective Agency. Morning, 1 week later. The lights come up as Mabel rushes in from her office holding a small stack of mail, including an envelope identical to the previous one.
All right, I'm coming. Hold your horses. Mancuso's Detective Agency for all your tailing, trailing, and tattling needs. Oh, it's you. No, I just got here a few minutes ago. Yeah, it was under the door. How did you know? You want me to open it? Okay, hang on.
She opens the envelope and looks inside.
Whoa, there's a wad of dough here. What do you want me to do with it? The drawer, are you sure? It looks like it could buy a whole lot of electricity. Oh yeah, I see it.
She unfolds a small note among the cash.
14006 Laurelwood Drive, Studio City. Studio City, swanky address. I guess that explains the dough. When are you coming in? No, it's okay. I can hold down the fort. You got it, boss. Oh, and boss, you're gonna explain all this later, yeah? Is that really necessary? Yeah, okay, I will.
She walks to the front door and locks it. This is not normal practice. She heads back to her desk, shoves the money in the top desk drawer, and walks back to her office.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, Mancuso's Detective Agency for all your ferreting, finding, and flipping concerns. How can I help you? Oh, he's working on a case. All right.
She turns to look at the bulletin board and pulls down an invoice marked Final Notice.
Gosh, I am surprised you haven't been paid yet. Detective Mancuso's usually right on top of these things. Been real busy lately with the holidays and all. Oh, and plus, I'm sure you read in the headlines last week, unnamed source. Well, I really couldn't say, but yes, that was him. He's been up to his peepers and with work. That's probably why it slipped his mind. But I'll see it's the first bill he settles on as soon as he gets back from his very important business. Thanks for your call. Oh yeah, Merry Christmas to you too.
She hangs up.
Who needs water? We'll just put a bowl out in the rain.
She pins the bill back on the bulletin board and starts to exit her office when she stops and looks back at the desk drawer. She crosses to it, opens the drawer, takes out the cash, looks again at the bulletin board, but thinking better of it, she returns the cash to the drawer, turns on the radio and spins the dial. She starts to return to her office when the radio goes out, along with a few of the lights. She hits the radio on its top and it starts up again. She exits to her office, lights fade to black. Somewhere in Los Angeles. In the shadows, Tom, a young man with Hollywood good looks and a gleaming smile, nervously looks around, occasionally checking his watch until he hears a car approaching.
Where have you been? I've been waiting here nearly an hour. I thought you got cold feet. It's not too late. You still stop this? No one would ever know.
A figure enters and hands him an envelope identical to those already seen.
Okay, I'll take care of it. Watch your back, will you? I'll talk to you when it's done.
The figure leaves and the car's headlights recede. Tom slips the envelope into his coat and exits. Lights fade to black. The offices of Mancuso Detective Agency the next night. Rain is pounding and the lights from the lamppost outside pour in from horizontal blinds. Mabel sits in front of the desk while Mancuso rifles through papers wildly.
It's all right here, Mabel. I can't believe I couldn't see it. You know what it is?
Astigmatism.
Here, put your peepers on this a second, will you, and see if you see what I'm seeing.
What am I looking at?
Anything familiar?
That's Malloy's bar. I recognize the awning and a couple of kids walking in. So?
Notice anything about the two of them?
You know, he's a flicker Joe and she's a bottle blonde. Who cares about a couple of actors walking into a bar on a Tuesday night?
Come on, Mabel, use that eagle eye of yours. Tell me what else you notice.
I think you need to get your eyes fixed because you're losing sight of our vision here. We're PIs, not a couple of talent scouts.
Just look at these and answer my question.
And people wonder why you never married. All right, it's the same Joe but with a different name each time. So he's a crumb. That doesn't make him a criminal.
And?
And the light right there in the second story window. It's turned on in these two, but off on this one.
Exactly. What is that place?
A once prospering agency that went belly up when they stopped closing cases, started watching windows.
No. Wrong.
All right, Sherlock. You're so clever. You tell me what it is.
I have no idea, but I know it's something, and I gotta find out what.
What you gotta do is get back to work and solve some real cases before they turn the lights off on us for good.
The only light I'm interested in is the one in the second story window. I gotta know what it is and why our phantom patron wants me to dig deeper.
How do you figure?
1 week ago, this is shoved under my door, right?
I'm still defrosting.
It's unmarked with a water cache and an address inside.
Culver City.
Exactly. So I take a little drive last week to the address to see what's what, and I'm thinking whoever left it for me has something that they want me to find or something that they want me to hide. Either way, I'm curious. I get all the way to Culver City, and it's just a regular house on a regular street. Miffed, I'm about to turn around and head back when I see a man, that man, head out of the house with a woman.
That woman.
I figure I'm already here on this hill for a bit. After all, whoever sent me to Cass has something for me to see, and I'm sure it ain't the promenade from the front door to the fort. So I follow them, and they lead me right to
Malloy's bar.
the very place. I watch them go in, I snap a few photos, but nothing else happens. Not for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
You sat there for 2 hours?
And 15 minutes. And they say come out, then they come out and
And?
they go home.
Riveting. You had me on the edge of my seat.
Well, pipe down, I'm not done yet. 2 hours and 15 minutes later, they come out of Malloy's and go home, and I'm thinking that poor schmo who left me the dough probably suspected something more juicy was going on. But I got pics to prove it ain't nothing. Just a couple of Hollywood types having drinks with the rest of the town. Plus, there's no instructions as to where to leave the photos, so I developed them and shoved them aside in case I ever hear from the guy. I went about my business without another thought, but then the next day, the same thing happens. I'm sitting at my desk working a case when I hear something slipped under the door. Well, this time I open the door and look down the alley, but he's gone. So I grab my coat and camera and head out, but I leave without the address, so I call here and you give it to me.
14006 Laurelwood Drive, Studio City.
I get there and it's another normal house on a normal street. So I pull over and watch a man, that same man, escort a woman.
Let me guess. This woman.
They get into the car and drive off. Can you guess where they go?
Malloy's. Wow, one trick pony, this guy. I bet he does everything the same.
Well, the next thing he did was the same. I sat and snapped a few more photos, and 2 hours and 15 minutes later, they come out and he drives her home.
You should consider becoming a professional storyteller. You've got the gift.
The next 2 nights are exactly the same thing happens. Anonymous envelope, a cast, address, and no explanation. And each night, same as before, it's the man with a different dame at Malloy's for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Then finally, last night I get this.
He hands her a new envelope.
Take a look.
She pulls out a new set of black and white photos.
They're photos of you.
Specifically, they're photos of me taking photos of the Joe and dames as they head into Malloy's.
Oh, that's creepy, boss. Someone is private eyeing you from behind your back. You're an anonymous client?
Not sure, but whoever they are, they wanted me to know they're watching, and I don't like it one bit.
So now what? Call the chief, cash in on one of the favors he owes you?
Too soon. Look at this photo, the one with me in my car. Do you see what I'm looking at?
Malloy's.
Right, and whoever took this was standing behind my car, but why? What's he trying to show me? There's something going on here, I just can't see it yet.
I see it. There's a creeper following you in the dead of night, probably getting his kicks sending you out on these wild goose chases so he can take pictures of you from behind. It's unseemly, boss, and I bet he's behind the envelopes of cash. It's no good. You need to hand it over to the chief and get this creep off the streets.
Whoever sent this to me wanted me to see something.
He lays each photo out on the desk, scrutinizing them.
They're all taken in front of Malloy's bar. They all show the apartment building behind the bar, and wait, what if... Interesting.
I hope these sentences end better than they started.
What do you notice about that building there?
I don't know, Rick. It's square. What do you want from me? You're the private eye.
All these photos captured the bar and the first couple on floors and the building behind it.
Yes.
As you clearly stated before, in the ones I took, the light in the second story window is turned on. But in the one the creeper took, the light is off. In all of mine, the man and women are out of frame inside the bar. But in this one...
They're walking into the bar.
Right. So I'm wondering, maybe they aren't going into the bar to have a drink. What if they're actually going through the bar to the building and back? Specifically to the window on the second floor. And whatever they're doing it up there for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Lucky girl. So he's a heel. He wouldn't be the first. His wife is probably the one that hired you to put the squeeze on him. You know, actually that makes sense. A desperate housewife, hell hath no fury, right? Oh, good job, boss man. It was a long road getting there, but now that we've arrived, I think you may have actually landed this a lucrative case. Let's figure out how to get these photos to the jilted Jill and get our payday.
No.
No?
No. First of all, we don't even know if the guy's married.
Yes. But if he is, this could really save our hide. You might not have noticed it, but we're not exactly living the high life in this swanky shanty here. We got serious debts to pay, and boy, this could be our ticket out of debtor's prison.
It's not time to cash in yet, Mabel. There's something more to the story than meets the eye. I'm sure of it.
You've always said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this here speaks volumes. One Joe, a fleet of Janes, and one very angry, very flush wife to pony up the clams. Now that is a book worth reading.
I'll put it back on the shelf because I don't think it's as simple as all that. I think there's something a lot more sinister going on. Whoever sent these wanted me to figure out what's going on and...
And what? Stop it? Join in? I think you're wandering into some dangerous waters here. After all, this envelope guy makes no bones about leaving wads of cash under your door and sending you off on a bunch of fool's errands. And without a single word to your face. That kind of person doesn't want to get his hands dirty digging in the mud, but is quite content to send you swimming in the sewers. It's a dangerous person, if you ask me. You're so hungry to take the bait, but if you're not careful, you might just end up on a hook for good.
Maybelle, I love the way you worry about me. Sometimes I forget how much you care.
I care about you keeping your nose clean so we can keep the lights on. I care about you sticking to the bread and butter cases, the ones that won't land you in a world of pain or in the pen. Like grifters with sticky fingers and crooked coppers sniffing the sugar. Stuff that pays the bills. Not phantom clients and clandestine cads.
Thank you, Mabel, but I'm the eye in Private Eye, and I'm going to keep looking until I sniff out the truth.
You need to get that schnoz of yours checked, because there's definitely something rotten in the state of Denmark. But fine, I give up. I just ask that while you're sniffing around for trouble, you use that prominent proboscis to smell the money we're losing every minute you waste on that high-rise.
All right, I hear you. I'll put it away for the moment and focus on the bread and butter. I'll make a meal out of them.
Thank you. And I'm going to take these with me to spare you the temptation.
She grabs all the photos and envelopes from his desk.
You're a good egg, eh? There, Mabel, and you're always right.
Rick, I'm glad you know.
She exits. After she goes, Mancuso picks up his foot and reveals a scrap of paper that fell off his desk earlier.
148 William Street, Burbank. You're always right, doll. I can't resist the temptation.
He heads out the front door to the street, swallowed up by the sounds of the storm. The alley behind Malloy's bar. Sounds of a lively bar can be heard coming from within, but behind the bar is only a dark alley where trash cans are filled with bottles, newspapers, and other remnants of the bar's operations. Mancuso enters from the back door of Malloy's bar. Loud and raucous gaiety can be heard from within. He takes in his surroundings and crosses to the trash cans to look inside. Then at the sound of footsteps, he tucks himself away in the shadows and watches as a man and woman enter and head toward the bar.
Oh, watch your step there. That puddle's deeper than it looks.
Wow, it really came down, didn't it?
Sure did. Here, walk this way. Let me take your hand.
Oh, thank you. It's hard to do this in heels. I've never worn anything so dangerous in all my life. I feel like I'm on the edge of a cliff. We don't wear heels this high in Kansas.
You better get used to them if you're going to make it in Hollywood. All the dames wear them.
Oh, there's just so much to learn. I feel like such a cornball.
That's the Kansas in you speaking. Don't worry. We'll get squashed out of you soon enough. Happens to everyone eventually.
Well, that's fine with me. I couldn't wait to get out of there and come what may. I'm never going back.
You belong here. I can tell that about you straight away. Los Angeles suits you.
I just can't believe my luck. To think I just got here yesterday. No job, no place to live, only a sawbuck to my name. And now, look at me. A place to stay, a screen test. You.
And don't forget the new heels.
I don't think my feet will ever forgive me. It's more than a simple girl from Kansas could hope for.
Meeting you at that train station felt like something out of a picture. I took one look at you, and I knew you were going to be something special. And doll, I'm going to help you get there.
You're like my guardian angel or something. A real answer to a prayer.
Stick with me, kid. I'm going to make you a star.
Oh gosh, I don't know how I'm going to walk back to that boarding house in these. I can barely stand without you holding me up.
Don't worry about walking home. I'll get you back safe and sound. And tomorrow, I'll swing by and pick you up for your screen test, shall I?
Oh, that would be swell. Thank you, Tom. I wish there was some way to repay you for all your kindness.
You can owe me one. Now let's get you off these hands before you break an ankle. Don't want you to show up for your screen test on crutches.
Tom leads her through the back door of the bar, and Mancuso steps out of the shadows briefly before hearing another set of footsteps. He dips back into the shadows and out of sight. A cloaked figure enters from the alley and heads towards the bar. A rat squeals, and Mancuso jumps, knocking into the trash cans. The figure freezes before slowly turning around. The figure dashes away. Once the coast is clear, Mancuso steps out of his hiding place and follows the figure as the lights fade to black. Hallway in the high-rise. The same night. Lights up on the dingy hallway of an apartment building. A bell sounds as an elevator opens, and Mancuso steps out and looks around. He listens at every door. A siren wails on the streets below. He hears music coming from apartment 2A, and just as he places his ear to the door, it opens to reveal the breathtaking vision of Victoria Cox.
You look lost.
Not necessarily.
What are you looking for?
Not sure yet. Maybe you have the answers. Do you? Mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
You just did.
Mind if I ask a few more?
I don't.
Can I come in?
Sure, but that only leaves you with 2 more questions.
I better make them count.
Come in. Drink?
Sure. Mind if I smoke?
Oh, you better slow down. You've only got 1 question left.
He starts to feel his pockets for a lighter when Victoria reaches out a hand holding a silver gilt lighter already aflame.
Nice digs you got here. You live here long?
The final question. You'd better go now.
Touché. Maybe you won't mind if I finish my drink first?
Please do. I've lived here nearly 5 years.
Well, if you don't mind my asking, an unauthorized question, where did you live before this?
I'll allow it. Before this, I lived in Culver City near the studios.
An actress?
Former. Very former. I wasn't very good at it.
I find that hard to believe.
I was a miserable singer, a hopeless dancer. I had 2 left feet, and both of them have no rhythm.
And after that?
I met a studio executive who said I could have a career as a model. He took me to industry events in Hollywood where I met my future husband.
An actor?
A politician. Aspiring. But he was handsome, powerful, energetic, and he swept me off my 2 left feet. Flew me to Paris, and we got married.
Holy Hollywood. That's a movie I'd like to see.
It doesn't have a very good ending.
Oh, you two,
Divorced? No.
still married? Is he here right now?
Oh, no. I haven't seen him for days. He's off campaigning, glad-handing and kissing babies and God knows. Fundraising, but without many funds.
It doesn't sound very profitable.
Well, Ernie's of the belief that to make friends you need to spend money. So, he spends everything he makes, and then he spends everything his friends make. When he runs out, well, he makes new friends. Needless to say, he's not the most effective candidate.
I don't know. Sounds like a lot of politicians I know. He should run for mayor. It's proven in LA they don't need to be very effective.
Oh, he is.
Running for mayor?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Your husband is Ernesto Perez?
Yes.
The Cuban... Oh, forgive me, I was gonna say...
Oh, you were going to say gangster. The Cuban gangster.
Yeah, well, I was. I apologize. It's a lousy thing to say.
Well, you didn't say it, I did. It's a common misconception. Ernie was born in Havana, but his parents immigrated when he was just a boy. We grew up in Los Angeles. We went to school right down the street, in fact. He got a job after high school running scripts for the movie studios until he eventually worked his way to the top.
Sounds like a respectable sort of guy.
Not at all.
And now he's running for mayor? Well, that's moxie right there. A real bold move for a studio bigwig.
Well, running a city is not as nearly as difficult as running a movie studio. Have you ever tried wrangling 200 hungry extras? Wrangling a few citizens of Los Angeles shouldn't be too hard. Do you know much of my husband's campaign?
Only what I read in the paper.
Well, then you know almost all there is to know. Well, there's very little left to the imagination. Ernie, he likes to live his life in the headlines, have his comings and goings splashed across the front paper for all to see.
And you?
I'm more private by nature. Well, I'm not keen in having my photo taken next to a bevy of Hollywood wannabes he fets at his fundraisers. It's impossible to compete for the spotlight with a group of very charming, very young beauties in the frame. Hard to be just the wife.
Well, I only just met you, but I can't imagine you'd ever be just the wife, Mrs. Perez.
Cox.
Cox.
I prefer my maiden name. Mr.
Mancuso. Detective Rick Mancuso, private eye.
Oh, a private eye. Oh, I don't ever think I've met a gumshoe before.
I don't think I've ever been called a gumshoe before.
I thought that's what you were all called. Or do you prefer Dick?
Private eye is fine. Or detective.
Have you got a license, Detective Rick?
I do.
Rick Mancuso, private investigator, license number 011411946. Oh, very official. Well, Rick Mancuso, private eye, I wonder, what could you want with the reclusive wife of a mayoral candidate?
Well, maybe nothing. Maybe a lot. It's hard to say yet. Maybe we could start with what you were doing last night around 7 p.m.
A curious start. Around 7, let's see. I was having dinner. Right over there.
Right over there? By the window?
Yes.
Yeah, mind if I take notes? And not for publication, I assure you. It's just for my memory. It's a fright.
Well, as long as they're not going anywhere.
Just right here, I promise.
All right, then go on.
And during that dinner at 7, right over there by the window, did you at any point happen to look out and see anything suspicious down below?
Well, how do you mean suspicious?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe hear an argument, a car horn, sirens, anything like that?
Oh, no, nothing. It was a quiet night.
Is it usually quiet around here?
Fairly, yes.
No excessive noise? Maybe from bar downstairs or the alleyway back behind the building?
Not especially.
So pretty quiet, eh?
Oh, we live in a city, Detective Mancuso, so naturally there's noise, but nothing that I'd consider excessive living as we do above a bar like Malloy's.
Understood. And do you or your husband ever go to Malloy's, maybe for a drink or to rub elbows?
Rub elbows?
No fundraising or baby kissing had there?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things had there, but not for Ernie and me. We prefer a quieter night at home.
I see. No elbow rubbing for you and Ernie.
Mhm.
Got it. So, just to clarify, you've never been in the bar, never had a drink there?
Not that I recall.
I see.
Did something happen in the bar below?
Well, nothing to be concerned with, Miss Cox. Just poking around to see what pops up. It's an occupational hazard, I'm afraid. I'm always snooping in shadows and looking under stones. You never know what you might find lurking around in the dark, you know.
Well, you're clearly very dedicated and thorough. You must resolve a lot of cases.
Well, my track record's as good as the next guy. The next guy is Sam Spade.
In other words, you're good.
In other words.
And you look for the bad in others.
Well, I suppose you could say that. I know people are capable of being many things, and I'm good at detecting which things those are.
You're a good judge of character. You can detect whether someone is telling the truth.
I wouldn't be a very good detective if I couldn't.
And you always get your man.
Or woman.
Oh, of course.
If someone's not on the level, I can look them straight in the eye and know if they're lying to me or not.
Oh, you're a mind reader.
I read body language and behaviors, and yes, sometimes I'm a reader of minds. It's all part of the job.
But tell me, Detective Rick Mancuso, what am I thinking right now? Oh, Ernie!
Ernesto Perez enters. He is a tall, handsome man with a commanding presence and Hollywood charisma. Mancuso stands and shoves his notepad in his pocket. Victoria remains seated.
Hello, darling.
I thought you'd be away for another night.
That was the plan, but Louis's wife called him away.
Louis B. Mayer.
Apparently, she likes to see her husband at least once a week.
Oh, the nerve.
And who is this? I fear not a reporter doing opposition for the other guy. I swear, whatever she told you about me, it's all lies. The truth is far worse, I swear.
Rick Mancuso, Mr. Perez.
He's a private investigator, Ernie.
Oh, so really, whatever she said, it's a lie.
I assure you, Mr. Perez, your wife has said only good things.
Then keeping her on the payroll was a very good idea, eh? So, detective, what brings you here? Digging into my roots as an immigrant son? Looking into my family ties into the mob? Looking for a direct line to some Cuban cigars? Why? Just ask. I'm an open book.
He's not here about you, Ernie.
Just poking around, really. Taking a look at a few things that caught my eye recently. Nothing of much excitement to a Hollywood mogul on his way to becoming mayor. The first Cuban mayor Los Angeles has ever seen? Now, that's quite an impressive moniker.
Oh, no cart before the horse, detective. It's bad luck, but yes, quite an accomplishment when it happens.
Yes, well, that's enough campaign talk for tonight. We shouldn't keep Detective Mancuso from his work. No doubt he's got many more shadows to search and stones left unturned.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, detective, good luck to you in whatever it is you're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Sorry to have imposed on your time.
Oh, Victoria loves the company, don't you, darling? Otherwise, she'd be up here all alone, my little recluse. Never leaves the apartment, this one. If I didn't make her leave once in a while, she'd never see the sun, would you?
The son is overworked and overrated in my line of work.
I'm sorry that I couldn't be of more help, Detective Mancuso.
On the contrary, Miss Cox, you may have been more helpful than you realize. Good night.
What did he mean by that?
I have no idea.
Did you say something that would make me look bad?
Of course not, Ernie. I said nothing but what you told me to say.
What about Ms. Cox? How do you think it looks when people hear my wife calling her by her maiden name?
Oh, it's not going to look like anything because no one's going to know. He's not a reporter, Ernie. He doesn't care what my name is. And neither do you, really.
When it comes to the campaign, there's nothing I don't care about, and you know that. By the way, kitten, there's no such thing as a safe detective. They're all up to no good, sniffing around for any dirt they can use to make an honest guy like me look like an imbecile.
Oh, no one can make you look like that, Ernie. You do just fine on your own.
I'm warning you, keep that beautiful puss shut, or I'll shut it for you. I didn't marry you for your mouth. Then again, maybe I did. Have you eaten?
No.
Well, let's go down to Malloy's. Tom's keeping our usual table for us.
Fine.
Go get your coat.
She gathers her coat and the lights fade to black. The offices of Mancuso Detective Agency. Mabel sits at Mancuso's desk, wrapped in a blanket, typing when Mancuso enters.
Whoa, what's with you? Looks like someone just ran over your trilby. What gives?
Well, I just left Ernie Perez's head.
Ernesto, the studio honcho?
Oh, he's upped his game to mayoral candidate now.
What were you doing over there, polling your precinct?
I met his wife.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, she was.
How'd you meet her? She selling Girl Scouts?
That ain't what she's selling. She lives in those apartments behind Molly's. It's her window at the photos. She found me in the hallway outside her apartment.
Found you what? Listening at her door?
Yes.
What did you hear?
I heard her open the door. She invited me in. Some seriously snazzy digs she's got there. All arranged just so, you know.
No.
So she used to be a flamingo for the studios, but had to quit because she had 2 left feet.
Oh, tragic.
Well, then she went into modeling.
You don't need to give me her measurements. Just tell me, did you look out the corner window?
I did. Cute little setup she has there, too. Table looked right over the street. But it doesn't matter. She didn't see or hear a thing.
Well, what can you do? 2 left feet, probably nearsighted, too. Back to the drawing board, huh?
On the contrary, I think there's really something to this dame. And something's up with the husband.
He's a politician.
It's more than that. He practically tripped over himself to impress me even after I told him I was a PI. It's like he was putting on a performance to convince me he was above board. Something's fishy between them two. Victoria,
Victoria. First name basis?
she didn't stand when he got there. Never looked him in the eye, gave him an icy shoulder. You think it's cold in here? That place was a meat locker.
Well, good thing you got out of there with your dignity intact. Did you find anything else that might help us solve this case, like that Greta Garbo might be our flush patron?
Well, I thought about that, but I don't think it's her. She's not the type.
Not the type to get green-eyed over a husband with a wandering eye? Oh, boss, you've been on your own too long. That's exactly why a wife would hire a PI and pay him well to catch the cheat in the act. I say it's time to close out and cash in. You know where she lives now? You take the photos and hand them over and get your payday.
No, you might be right.
I'm always right. Mancuso's charitable organization. Oh, yes. We were just talking about your case, as a matter of fact, and I think you'll be very pleased with what we found out. So pleased you'll probably want to tip us over the top of our standard cheating husband rate. Tonight, I think.
Mancuso grabs the phone from her.
Miss Cox, Rick from Mancuso here. Sorry about that. I got a temp working for me today. I don't think she's gonna work out. How can I help you?
Lights up on Victoria in her apartment.
Oh, Detective Mancuso. Well, I thought it might be interesting to know that my husband is headed to City Hall to hold a press conference. Well, the police chief is going to announce his support of my husband's candidacy, and I thought it might help you snoop out your next big case.
Well, thank you, Miss Cox. Yes, it just might. Thanks for the tip.
Good night, Detective Mancuso.
Good night, Mrs. Cox.
Mancuso gathers his things and heads out the door.
Where to now? Bake sale?
Perez is holding a presser at City Hall. Chief's gonna throw LAPD support behind him. Victoria thought it might be good for me to go and sniff around.
Well, if Victoria thinks it's a good idea.
You know, green's not a good color on you, Mabel. It clashes with your eyes.
He exits as the lights fade to black. Los Angeles City Hall. A crowd of press, officers, and citizens gather on the steps of City Hall where a podium has been placed bearing the seal of the Los Angeles Police Department. Also present are Sheila, Peggy, and Annie, Hollywood starlets in their 20s. Police Chief Murphy, a distinguished man in his 60s, quiets the crowd as Ernesto Perez stands beside him. Mancuso enters and lingers in the
Quiet down, everyone. Quiet down, please. You all know why we're here tonight. It's so I can formally announce the Los Angeles Police Department, along with the Los Angeles Fire Department, are happy to endorse candidate Ernesto Perez for the next mayor of Los Angeles. Now, it has long been the duty of the LAPD to protect and serve the citizens of Los Angeles, just as Mr. Perez has served the good people of Hollywood as chief of the film industry.
Maybe I should run for your job, Pete, Chief.
Maybe one day, but not today. Now let's all go ahead and give a warm welcome to candidate Perez!
Thank you, Chief Murphy, and thank you to the members of the Los Angeles Police and Fire Departments for their generous endorsement of my candidacy. I am humbled by the faith of the good people of Los Angeles, the greatest city in the world. I come from a small immigrant family, and when we arrived, Los Angeles embraced and nurtured us as we rose from homeless to the heights of Hollywood. This is why I am dedicated to giving back to the city, which has become my home. I want to retake the streets from violence and gangs, miscreants who work to disrupt the lives of innocent, hard-working Americans. I want to root out our corruption in every industry and return power back to the people where it belongs. And I want to ensure every person, no matter his background or color of his skin, is able to pull himself up by his bootstraps and build the American dream just as my family did. That is the American spirit, and that is why I'm running for your next mayor of Los Angeles. I did not serve in the war as most of you did. However, it is my intention to serve you with just as much grit and determination as you showed when beating back those Germans and bringing the flames of democracy and light of liberation to the world. And so, I want to thank you once again, Police Chief Murphy, and the brave men of the Los Angeles Police and Fire Department. And most especially, I want to thank the fair citizens of this beautiful city for your faith and trust in me. And with your help, the next time we're standing on the steps of City Hall, it will be to move in! May God bless you, and may God bless Los Angeles, and Merry Christmas! Detective Mancuso, good to see you again.
Candidate Perez?
Ernesto, please.
Quite a celebration you got here, Ernesto.
Well, yes, it's a good night for campaigns.
Not just a campaign.
How do you mean? I've always encouraged young people to take an active interest in politics.
How active?
I don't know what you're getting at, Detective.
How does Miss Cox feel about your political outreach?
Mrs. Perez, please. Naturally, she supports anything that will help the future of my goals.
I don't see her here today.
My wife shies away from the spotlight. She prefers to offer silent support.
Well, you're a man to be envied, Mr. Perez.
How so?
I know a lot of men who prefer their wives silent.
Forgive me, Detective Mancuso. It seems that I'm needed elsewhere. Good to see you. May I count on your vote?
The last election I voted in was Woodrow Wilson, and look where that got us.
Indeed.
Say, don't I know you from somewhere?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm sure of it.
I think I should know if I've met someone or not.
You in the pictures?
Not yet, but I hope to soon. She just had a screen test at Columbia.
You don't say. Well, I'm sure you'll be a big hit. You got Starlet written all over your face.
Oh, I hope so. Mr. Perez worked awful hard to get me the test. I just hope I don't let him down.
You say Mr. Perez got you the screen test?
Oh, he got one for all of us girls.
Yes.
You too?
Over at CBS just the other day.
Where'd he get you in?
Buena Vista.
Burbank, huh? And you're Culver City. Say, you three been over to Malloy's Diner?
Oh, sure we have.
Yeah, it's where all the up-and-coming actresses go to get their start. At least that's what Tom says, anyway.
Tom?
Mr. Perez's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the kid I saw leave with the Canada.
That's the one. He does everything Mr. Perez needs. Yeah, and then everyone here thinks he's just the cat's pajamas.
A real dreamboat.
He used to be in pictures, you know, over at Columbia. That's where he met Mr. and Mrs. Perez. She was in pictures too. Do you know her?
Wait a minute. What else does a Canada do to help you gals?
He had Tom meet us when we arrived in the city, and he pays for us to stay at a boarding house for young ladies near the studios.
And he gives us an allowance to buy all new finery so that we can look smart for the industry shindigs.
Now let me get this straight. You show up from...
Kansas!
And Mr. Perez sends his aide to set you up with a place to live, some fancy duds, and a screen test?
That's right.
This is all out of the kindness of his heart.
Oh, he says it's philanthropy.
That's one word for it. How did he find you? Standing under a lamppost with your thumb out?
Of course not. He knew we were coming. He paid for the fare.
He helped my cousin Martha Ann when she came out 6 months ago. He told her if she had any other friends who wanted to come out and work at the studios, he'd help them get here.
And we packed our bags and here we are.
And he doesn't want anything in return? No special favors or jobs you need to do?
Of course not. He's the utmost gentleman.
He never asks anything indecent of us girls. The only thing we do is help out when he has someone important he needs to entertain. Oh,
Entertain?
Well, there's always some producer or director or some special bigwig that needs to be shown a good time. So we get all dolled up and we go with them to whatever swanky event they're going to and make sure they have a great time.
oh, and we don't mind because it's a real neat way to mingle with the Hollywood bigwigs. Plus, there's usually a really swell meal and dancing.
So whenever he's got someone important to impress, he calls you up, tells you to get gussied up and be ready?
Oh, he doesn't do the calling. It's usually Tom.
How many of these shindigs have you gone to, each of you?
Well, I've only been to one, but the other girls have done a couple, right? Yeah.
And the candidate never asked you to stay after the party ends?
Well, sometimes he asks everyone back to his apartment if folks aren't ready to call it a night.
You mean his place behind Malloy's?
Oh yeah, it's a real swell spot.
The Hollywood folks get a little sauced and a little handsy, but it's nothing we can't handle. We may be from the farms, but we're not a bunch of hayseeds. We know our way around a pair of hands, if you know what I mean.
I think I do. Say, when you're at these shindigs at Casa Perez, where's Mrs. Perez?
Oh, she's there, but she's always in the other room.
Yeah, she keeps to herself with the door shut.
I think I've only seen her once. Sometimes Tom tries to get her to join the party, but she never does. He said she gets headaches and takes medication to sleep when they're real bad.
Interesting. Well, ladies, it's been a real pleasure. Good luck to you. I know one of these days I'll see you up there on the silver screen. Burbank, Studio City, Culver City. Mr. Perez, I think I finally got your number.
He exits and the lights fade to blackout. And now, a word from our sponsor.
This production of Sirens of Film Noir is brought to you by the Long Beach Playhouse, affectionately known as LBP. We have been producing live theater for the Long Beach community since 1929. Now in our 95th year, we show no signs of slowing down. Do you want to be a part of this fantastic institution? Make your mark by donating today during Long Beach Gives. Donations made through Long Beach Gives will assist us in buying props, costume materials, and helping with those pesky SoCal Edison bills. Follow the link below on your screen or go to longbeachgives.org and search Long Beach Playhouse. Help us hit our goal of $10,000.
And now back to the program. The offices of Mancuso Detective Agency. Lights up on the office to see Mabel sitting on the edge of the desk on the phone.
That's what I told him, but you know how he is, trying to squeeze 10 ounces of sense in a 2-ounce jar. Here he is, Mom. I gotta go. Don't forget Chief Murphy. He wants that recipe for that casserole. Yeah, love you too. So what gives? How was the presser?
Illuminating.
Do tell.
Well, it seems a candidate likes to mix philandering with philanthropy. You know the three skirts in the photos?
Yeah, hard to forget.
I met them today.
At the presser?
Live and in color. They told me Perez funded their move out here and acts as their benefactor. All in the house.
Sounds good to me.
Well, you might change your mind after you hear this. It's all free, so that as long as they're ready at any time to get dressed up and be an escort for a Fat Cat studio student who's coming into town. And get this, he serves the three parts of town, Burbank, Culver City, and Studio City. Not so coincidentally, the three studios where these lucky girls just had screen tests.
Huh. And not so coincidentally that the three studios the future mayor has his grubby mitts on. Well, now, can you please admit I was right? It's clearly his wife who's hired you, and for a very good reason, it seems. Now you can hand over those photos, get paid, and most of all, keep those sweet girls out of harm's way.
I think you're right, Mabel, as always. It's time to close the case.
The phone rings and Mabel answers.
Mancuso's detective agency for pretty much anything you'll pay us for. How can I help?
She hands the receiver to Mancuso.
Rick Mancuso. Victoria? Calm down. Tell me what's wrong. Slow down, Angel. Take a breath. I'll be right over. Hold tight and lock the door.
He grabs his coat and hurries to the door.
Where are you going now?
Perez is on the warpath. Seems he got all twisted up that I was at the presser. She's scared of him. I gotta go.
He rushes out as the lights fade to black. Victoria's apartment.
What'd he do next?
Well, he said I was disloyal for sending you snooping to City Hall because it shows how much I distrust him.
Well, isn't that the truth?
Oh, he was so angry, Rick. I've never seen him like that. He stormed out of here swearing he'd do something that we'd all regret.
I'm not afraid of him.
You don't know what he's capable of. He's got connections in every part of this city, not just Hollywood. He's got the full backing of the police chief now, so there's no telling what he could get away with.
The police chief's a good man. He's not one to be manipulated by the likes of Perez.
The same could have been said about me at one point. And look at me now.
All I can do is looking at you. Cockroach really did a number on you, didn't he?
Oh, it's more than that, Rick. So much more. Oh, no, I can't say anything more. I've said too much already. Forget I said anything, will you?
Not a chance. Now tell me the truth, Vic. What'd that creep do to you? Did he lay a hand on you?
Let's just say he's not afraid to get what he wants using whatever means necessary.
That low-down, dirty rat. Listen, don't worry. I'll take care of him, and when I'm done, he'll be lucky if he has one finger left that's still working.
Oh, no, he can't know that I've seen you. He was so angry. I've never seen him so angry. If he talks to you now, I don't know what he'll do.
Well, what I'm planning doesn't involve a whole lot of talking, but I'll lay off for now. I gotta ask, if it's so awful, why do you stay?
What choice do I have? From the first I knew it was a mistake, but what could I do? I was trapped. Oh, Rick, you can't know how awful it's been being his wife, constantly pushed aside for his ambitions, ignoring every indiscretion, keeping my mouth shut because he's so adored. Who would ever believe me if I told him what a lousy louse he was? I'm trapped and I'll never get out, not until I'm dead or he is.
Now, don't talk like that. You get yourself worked up again.
You ever wonder why they make those sounds?
Sirens? Can't say I ever gave it a thought.
It's an old Greek tale about sea creatures. Women so beautiful and enchanting that they came out of the ocean singing their songs, and it drove the sailors mad until they threw themselves overboard.
Morbid.
But even as they drowned, the sailors were mad with ecstasy. Imagine dying from pleasure.
I can think of a worse ways to die. Am I swimming in some dangerous waters here?
Shall I sing for you?
I'm not one for musicals.
Well, you can hold your breath.
At the very least.
Why don't you just close your eyes and breathe?
I don't think I'll ever breathe again.
Neither will I.
Sister, what are you doing to me?
I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just so lost, Rick, and afraid. It's been so long since I felt safe in my own skin. I can't remember the last time I was alone with a man and didn't feel afraid.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get you away from him, I swear.
I don't see how you can. He has eyes everywhere.
Well, so do I. And ain't no better eye than a private eye.
I believe you.
That's good, Angel, because I got you. That Broderick's never gonna scare you again. I gotta get out of here and find him.
Oh, wait, I forgot to tell you he's headed to your office to confront you. It was the last thing he said before he stormed out of here. Oh, Rick, but you can't go there now, not while he's out for blood.
He's headed there now. Mabel's there. I gotta stop him. I can't leave her alone to face him when he's gunning for me. Here, take this.
He takes a gun from his coat and hands it to her.
No, Rick, I can't.
Yes, you can. You know how to shoot?
No, I've never seen a gun outside of a movie studio.
All you do is aim and pull the trigger and shoot. But remember, it's a last resort. Don't point a gun at anything you're not ready to kill. Got it? And keep that door locked and get back until I get back. Got it?
Got it.
Lights fade to black as Victoria locks the door and looks at the gun in her hand. The offices of Mancuso Detective Agency, the same night. Mabel enters from her office carrying mounds of paper, dumps them on the desk, and grabs the receiver.
Mancuso's Detective Agency for all your tracking, testimony, and taxidermy woes. How can I help you? Uh-huh. No, he's not here. Oh, sure, I remember you.
She sifts through the papers on the desk until she recovers a pink slip with red letters spelling final notice on it.
Really? Haven't received it yet. Gosh, that is surprising. He's usually so prompt about making payments. But it is a busy time right now, and he's out on important business. I guess it just slipped his mind. I promise that it will be the first bill he pays as soon as... No. You know what? I'm lying. He isn't on important business. He's dodging your calls and he's not prompt. He hasn't paid it and he doesn't plan to. We threw away your previous notices and we've been pretending to sign a check every time you call. Truth is, we don't even have a checkbook. And it wouldn't matter because we don't have any money. We're bust. You hear me? Broke. And any minute now, I'm going to be talking to you in a dark, cold room without my coat because, like a fool, I left it at home thinking that maybe once and for all, the boss would think of someone other than himself and pay the electric company. But... What? Oh, yeah, I do have quite a sense of humor. Well, my mother was Canadian. Really? Oh, okay, sure. Send us a new invoice. And we'll get that check in the mail to you right away. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. And a Happy New Year.
She hangs up and tosses the final notice back on top of the pile and exits to her office. Blackout. Somewhere in Los Angeles. Lights up on the alley behind Malloy's bar as Tom paces. When he hears footsteps approaching, he starts to run. Mancuso enters.
Hey, you there, stop.
Me?
You see anyone else? I know you.
No, you don't.
Hell, I've been looking at your face every night for the past week. You're that skirt chaser that's been whining and dining those dames for your boss. All I want to know is why you're so willing to help deliver those girls to the candidate. He can't do well enough on his own that he needs you to do his dirty work?
I don't have to tell you anything.
Look, pal, I don't have time to play games here. I'm on my way to stop a crime that may already be in progress. So tell me, why are you helping that two-bit good-for-nothing?
Victoria told me all about you.
You got 30 seconds before I call the chief, who, I assure you, won't be as calm and collected as I am. Why are you in cahoots with that Latin Lothario stepping out on his wife?
It's not stepping out on Victoria. She never has. She's obsessed with the notion, but it's unfounded.
You trying to tell me that Perez is on the level, no hanky-panky with those dolls? Yeah, well, I don't buy it one bit. He's dirty, and I got proof you procured at least 3 girls in the last week alone.
How do you know I brought them to see him? Maybe I was taking them for a drink.
They all gave the same story, and believe me, they only had enough imagination to light one bulb between the 3 of them. They're not making it up. You set them up with a place to stay, screen test, and bankroll them for a candidate so that they could work as his joy girls whenever he had some fat cat donor needs a treat.
I won't deny that I scouted young ladies who were open to an arrangement. But at no point did it go beyond that, I swear. The candidate has always been faithful to his wife. He simply enjoys the company of beautiful things. It hardly makes him a criminal, especially in this town.
Well, I've seen a lot of things, pal, and one thing I've learned that if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, you can bet it's foul.
I'm telling you, you've got it wrong, Detective Mancuso. So does Victoria.
Calling her by her first name seems a little intimate for her husband's assistant. I wonder if there isn't something else going on here that you're not copping to. Something that might send her husband into a rage.
Once again, Detective, you're whistling Dixie. There's nothing going on between Victoria and me.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't haul you downtown and let the chief do his work.
There was nothing salacious going on, Detective. I'm not her lover, I'm her brother.
Oh, her brother. That's a good one.
I know how it looks to have the candidate spotted all over town surrounded by young starlets while his wife stays at home. I also know that it's all for show, because he's always been mad with Victoria. I can't bear to see my sister tie herself into knots thinking he's being unfaithful. So I thought, if I'm the go-between, it would take some of the sting away for her. But it was no use. Her mind's made up and I fear things have finally come to a head.
What are you talking about?
The other night, she was in a rage about the photos with him and all the girls that she threatened him. She said that if he didn't break it off with them and come clean, she had friends who would take care of business for her. Then she pulled a knife from the block in the kitchen and was about to, I don't know what. So I turned the lights off. Before she could do anything, I held her from behind and Ernesto grabbed the knife.
When did all this go down?
Last week around 7:30.
Now I know you're trying to pull one over on me. Because I got pictures to prove you were walking one of those angels into Malloy's bar at 7. I don't buy a single word from you because you got skin in the game. You're his aide de camp and you know where your bread is buttered. So you keep weaving this web of lies to stay in his good graces.
For a private eye, surprisingly blind, Detective Mancuso.
Then set me straight.
My loyalty is not to Ernesto. It's to Victoria. And I'm seriously afraid for her. But not for the reasons you think. She's not what you think she is, Detective. Not at all.
You know, I got a good idea of what she is.
You have no idea. Believe me.
Then enlighten me and do it quickly.
I've been with the two of them every day since the beginning. I've had a front row seat to the whole thing. Look, I love my sister. But she turns off and on like a switch. See, years ago, our father killed a man in a bar fight. We were just kids at the time. But Victoria saw the whole thing. He did time in Leavenworth, and when he got out, he came back and lived with Victoria. By then, he was a broken man. But his temper never wavered. And Detective, my sister takes after him. You know, Ernesto's on his way to your office, don't you?
That's where I'm headed.
She set it in motion, wound him up like a top. Told him there's something going on between you two. She's making his jealousy will give you cause to protect yourself. And she's got her revenge without ever getting her hands dirty.
Is Ernesto good with a piece?
I don't think he's ever held a gun in his life, let alone shot one. But Victoria has one and no doubt gave it to him.
She's got one? She didn't tell me that. Does she know how to shoot?
No one better. My father was an excellent marksman and he taught us well. We've got to find him and stop him before he returns to the apartment, because if he does, I don't know what will happen. Go now, Detective, before it's too late.
Thanks, kid, and keep your head down until this blows over, if it ever does.
Wait, oh no, let me explain. No, go, please!
Blackout. The office of Mancuso Detective Agency. Mancuso races in.
Mabel, you here? If you are, come out right now.
After a moment, Mabel appears in the doorway to her office.
Oh, thank God. I don't have time to explain. Just get your coat and let's get out of here. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
Victoria appears with a gun pointed at Mabel.
You.
You are expecting my husband?
You've been playing me.
Like a fiddle.
Get me riled up to take care of your husband for you?
Well, it worked. Well, almost. Ernie's still alive. For now. Well, I expect him here any minute. Imagine how upset he'll be to find us here together. And not for him to do something rash, I hope.
Tom was right about you.
What?
Your doting patsy of a brother gave me a lowdown on you. I know how you lived in poverty and watched your father bump off some poor schmo who got in his way. You're a survivor. I'm guessing that you ran away to the big city and crawled your way up the social ladder on the backs of simpletons like your studio honcho husband. Batting those eyes and pursing those lips till that mug cast a spell on them the way you tried to do to me.
Tom said that.
He did. And he told me he got your dad's eyes, but you got the old man's homicidal tendency. Looks like he was right. I should thank him the next time I see him.
Well, Tom can't say anything to you again, so there's no one that can confirm this little fairy tale of yours. And when the police discover you and your sweet little Miss Cold and Stiff, they'll have no choice but to blame my vengeful, mafioso husband for your demise. I'll be rid of him once and for all.
And on your way to catch that convenient life insurance policy, you surely took out on him.
A woman must always look out for herself. God knows no man ever will. Ain't that right, sister?
Hold tight, Mabel. The dame's time is nearly up.
I believe, dear Detective Mancuso, that it's your time that's nearly up. I've already made a desperate call to the police department. Oh, please, come quickly. I don't know what my husband will do. I'm afraid he'll come for us all. Please help me. Oh, they'll be here any minute. Oh, which reminds me, I need to get a move on. I need to take care of you two and tie myself to the chair. Do you think I should tear my blouse, or is that trying too hard?
You're insane.
No, I'm practical, organized, and unlike my husband, I'm careful not to be so obvious with my exploits. For example, you never suspected for a second that I was the one that left the money under your door.
I told you it was her.
You're always right, Mabel.
I found those girls and brought them here. It was easier than you think. All I had to do was ask my husband to set up a few simple meetings at the studios. He had no idea that those girls were part of my plan to set him up as a dismissive husband who ignored his poor, neglected wife. Oh, well, he never laid a hand on me, never stepped out on me, never gave me anything but constant attention and affection. Oh! Do you have any idea how mind-numbing it was to simper and play the doting wife with him? That old sap, he never questioned when I put the life insurance papers in front of him. He signed them without giving them a second glance. That's how much he trusts me.
Not anymore, darling.
Oh, Ernie, well, thank goodness you were here. Detective Mancuso wants to kill you. He wants me all to himself. I've been trying to get him here so that the police could get him.
You dropped the act, Victoria. We've been on to you for some time. In fact, we planned this whole rendezvous, didn't we?
All right, the jig is up, Missy.
Oh.
Now you put down the gun and come with us.
What?
Nice and quiet.
I don't understand. Tom?
How am I here?
Mabel?
Mabel
Blanks.
takes the gun, opens the chamber, and pours out blanks.
Blanks. Who's the sap now?
You didn't think I'd give you a gun with bullets, did you?
Well, how'd you know?
You're not the first woman to dine to lie to me.
So you were all in on this little masquerade?
Bad news travels fast, my dear. Oh, and I signed the life insurance papers, Harry Houdini. It was my little joke. I knew as soon as you got the money, you'd disappear.
Nice.
All right, now that's enough of this chatter. It's time to take this one down to the station. I've got a few more questions that need answering.
Oh, you were right about one thing, Detective.
What's that?
I'm a survivor.
In one quick move, she reaches for the chief's gun and they all scramble. Just then the lights go on and there's a scuffle. A shot is fired. When the lights come on, Tom has restrained Victoria in a tight hold from behind. Ernesto has retrieved the chief's gun. And the radio turns on.
Hey, that's right. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. God bless us, everyone. Well, not you.
Chief, as we got this one wrapped up, consider it our Christmas gift to you and the boys down at the station.
And once again, Detective Mancuso, we owe you a debt of gratitude.
We'll bill you.
All right, let's get this one in the car before she tries to make a break for it. Slippery meat.
You know, my plan was to always use the money so that we could run away together and start over.
No good, sister. As soon as I turned my back, you'd stick a knife in it. Hear that? That's your swan song, Siren.
I hear black and white stripes are in vogue this season. Can't wait to see your photo in them. I think I'll frame it.
Too bad you hate the limelight, darling, because you're gonna make a beautiful headline.
All right, let's get a move on. All of you.
Drink?
We're still on the clock, but it is Christmas, and since you did just save our lives, I guess I'll indulge.
That's a spirit, Mabel.
Although technically our lives really weren't at risk.
Well, tonight we celebrate our victories, however big or small. If this case has taught me one thing, anything, it's that we need to seize the day and carpe that diem wherever we can.
He pours her a glass.
The only thing I want to seize right now is that drink.
Congratulations on a case closed and a job well done.
You too, boss. Hey, how'd you get the lights to turn off like that?
What can I say, Mabel? It pays not to pay the utilities. Here's to the spirit of Christmas.
They toast. Then he takes her hands and they start to dance.
I see you picked up a few moves. I guess we have Veronica Lake to thank for that.
No, 2 left feet, that one. This offshoot was all my own. You're not so bad yourself. Where you been hiding this talent all these years?
Mac, I got a lot of hidden talents.
You know, Mabel, you're one heck of a gal.
You know, Rick, I sure am.
Sometimes forget just what a class act you are.
With your lack of smarts, that makes sense.
Seriously, you're one in a million, kid. You really are. You could go anywhere or be anything. What the heck are you doing still stuck with a guy like me?
Who would be here to talk sense if I wasn't?
I mean it, Mabel. You could do anything, be anything, but you stay here, and I think I know why.
You do?
Yep. You're a saint.
That's me, Saint Mabel.
Patron saint of lost souls.
And private eyes.
That makes me one lucky soul having my own saint looking out for me. It must be really something to deserve such a good fortune.
Oh, you're something, all right.
So are you, Cookie. So are you. A real saint in the city of angels. Merry Christmas, Angel.
Merry Christmas, Rick.
I heard a wise man say, there's 8 million stories in the naked city. That may be true, but tonight, for just this one night, there's only one story that really matters.
Blackout. The end. Thank you for joining us today for Long Beach Kids and the premiere of Sirens of Film Noir. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. And Skip?
And give us